Welcome to this explainer. If you're tackling grade 9 biology at St. Paul American School Clark, you are in exactly the right place. Today we're diving into Unit 8, Lesson 3, Mammalian Characteristics and the Diversity of Mammals. We'll be exploring the unique physical traits of mammals, and, maybe even more interestingly, how their fascinating behaviors help them actually survive and thrive out there in complex ecosystems.
Here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with mammal characteristics, look at mammalian diversity, dive into basic behaviors, and then explore ecological behaviors. We'll do a quick misconception check, and finally wrap it all up with a formative check and recap.
All right, let's jump right into Section 1, Mammal Characteristics.
So what actually makes a mammal, well, a mammal? Sure, we've got the obvious stuff like having hair, which, by the way, acts as insulation and even a sensory tool, like a cat's whiskers, officially known as vibrissa. We also have milk-producing mammary glands. But mammals also possess some highly specialized internal equipment. We are endothermic, meaning we generate our own body heat. We boast specialized teeth for different diets, called heterodont teeth, and we get 2 sets in a lifetime, making us diphyodonts. Oh, and our kidneys? They have this brilliant, unique structure called the loop of Henle, which essentially acts as a built-in water recycling plant to save vital fluids.
But honestly, perhaps the most amazing evolutionary shift is found right inside our ears. Get this, millions of years ago, bones that originally formed the jaw hinge in ancestral reptilian species literally migrated into the middle ear. These became the malleus and incus. This piece of evolutionary recycling gave early mammals vastly improved hearing, which was a massive survival advantage when hunting in the dark. Moving right along to Section 2, Mammalian Diversity. Let's see how these traits show up across the mammal family tree. Modern mammals are categorized into 3 distinct clades, and it's mostly based on their incredibly diverse reproductive strategies. First up, monotremes, like the platypus. They are wild because they actually lay leathery eggs. Next, we have marsupials, like kangaroos. They have a really short internal gestation, and then their tiny, undeveloped young crawl into a pouch to finish growing. Finally, we've got eutherians, or placental mammals. This includes us humans, rodents, and even whales. We use a complex placenta to connect the fetus directly to the mother for a much longer period of internal development.
Okay, Section 3, Basic Behaviors. Now that we know the physical equipment mammals and other animals are working with, how do they actually use it? To understand behavior, we need to talk about a concept pioneered by biologist Nico Tinbergen, the fixed action pattern. Think of a fixed action pattern as a completely instinctual, hardwired behavior. It's triggered by a very specific external signal, what we call a sign stimulus. And here's the crazy part. Once this behavior gets triggered, the animal usually carries it out all the way to completion, completely ignoring whatever else might be happening around them.
Take the male stickleback fish. These guys will aggressively attack a totally fake, blocky wooden model if, and literally only if, it has a painted red belly. That red color is the exact sign stimulus that triggers a hardwired instinct of territorial aggression. You could drop in a highly realistic, beautifully painted fish model, but if it doesn't have that red belly, the stickleback totally ignores it. The behavior is 100% linked to that one visual cue.
Or check out the fiddler crab. The males have this one absolutely massive, asymmetrical claw. Sometimes it makes up half of their entire body weight. They wave this giant claw around as a distinct visual signal during courtship. It perfectly illustrates how an animal's physical anatomy is deeply and directly tied to its reproductive behavior.
Next up, Section 4, Ecological Behaviors. Zooming out from individual instincts, let's look at how animals interact with other species. It's a tough world out there, and organisms have evolved incredible defenses to avoid getting eaten. Some use Batesian mimicry to basically fake being dangerous. Imagine a completely harmless insect evolving the exact yellow and black stripes of a venomous wasp. The predator avoids the harmless bug because it's been tricked. On the flip side, you have Mullerian mimicry. This is where multiple actually dangerous or foul-tasting species share the exact same warning colors. They basically team up to reinforce the "do not eat us" message across the whole ecosystem.
Animals also get involved in long-term living arrangements called symbioses. You've got commensalism, where one species benefits and the other doesn't really care, like a bird building a nest in a massive tree. No harm, no foul. Then there's mutualism, which is a total win-win scenario, like termites relying on special protozoa in their guts to digest wood. They both need each other. And finally, parasitism. This is a win-lose, like a tapeworm actively weakening a mammalian host by stealing its nutrients.
time for Section 5, our misconception check.
You know, you often hear people claim that all genetic mutations are bad for an organism. There's this idea that mutations just ruin perfectly functioning biological systems and are a total evolutionary waste of time. Actually, scratch that. That is a fundamental misunderstanding of biology. In reality, mutations provide the absolutely critical genetic variation that drives adaptation. Without mutations, populations literally couldn't evolve. Whether a new trait is beneficial or detrimental depends completely on the ecological context. The exact environmental pressures at that moment decide if it's a good thing. I mean, a mutation that makes you super clumsy on land might be the exact same trait that makes you an Olympic swimmer in the water.
All right, we made it to Section 6, the formative check and recap. Let's see what you remember from earlier. Quick question. Thinking back to our mammalian diversity table, which specific group uniquely uses eggs for reproduction, but still completely belongs in the mammal family?
Did you guess monotremes? Because if you did, you absolutely nailed it. Examples like the platypus and the echidna lay leathery eggs, but they're still mammals, for sure, because they nourish their hatched young with milk from mammary glands and they have hair.
Let's bring it all home with a quick concept recap.
So, the big takeaways today. We learned mammals are defined by unique traits like hair, specialized glands, and inner ears made of old jawbones. We covered how they're categorized into 3 distinct clades based on how they reproduce. And we explored how their survival relies on diverse behaviors, everything from hardwired fixed action patterns triggered by a sign stimulus to complex ecosystem-level strategies like mimicry and symbiosis.
Before we go, I want you to chew on this question. How exactly does the specific physical anatomy of an animal dictate the actual behaviors it can use to survive in a constantly changing world? At the end of the day, biology is all about form matching function. Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer, and keep asking great questions.